What's up, everybody? True Evil here, and today I want to talk about my game plan on how I'm going to get rank 1 PvP during Etheria Restart's final test. Now, the reason I want to get rank 1 PvP is because not only will it qualify me for that tournament they talked about during the final test direct, but it will solidify myself as a dominant figure in the theory crafting circles of this video game. And, as a YouTuber, I want to be the best of the best at the game because I would rather you watch my videos because I am the best at the game versus, oh my god, video, oh crazy, I have great lighting and editing. So without further ado, I'm just going to do an unedited video talking about my game plan throughout the 10 days. And the reason I'm telling you all of this knowledge that I've planned out is because, well, good players know what they need to do to be the best, and great players just do it. And as a great anime mobile gamer, I'm just going to do this plan. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Now, the first thing we need to talk about is that this is a paid beta versus like a normal beta where you don't spend any money. And, this is a little bit sketchy because, it says the rebate is 200%. But looking at some of the content creators checking out the shop, there's like items in the shop that say 2000% value and stuff like that. So it's just like, why would I buy something and get 200% value when I can wait for the actual game to come out and get 2000% value? Well, I'm not going to think about stuff like that, right? So the most important thing to buy in the shop, and I recommend everyone to buy this, is the $5 monthly pass. Now, you might think this is a really dumb item to buy because there's only like 10 days in this beta, and you're not going to get the full value out of it. But the reason you buy it is not because of those gems every day, it's because it makes your energy have an extra 20, which, we only have 10 days, so the person who's going to be at the top of the leaderboards is the person who grinds out the gear the quickest. And what better way to do that than having an extra 20 on the stamina? And then you also get, not only that, you get an extra 10% on all increases in that cash money for the currency in this game, which is going to be really big because, the most important thing we're going to be doing is upgrading the characters. Now, besides that, there is going to be some beginner packs in the shop. And the most important ones I'm going to be looking at is the ones with the like mold tickets. Now, if you've ever played Nike Goddess of Victory, you know what the molds are, where you click it and it has like a chance of giving an SSR versus an SR. And, these tickets I think are going to be the best to click, and if you get lucky, you're pretty much set. So going to get those and a couple of other ones. I'm not going to spend a whole lot in the shop for this beta. I am hoping I only need to spend about $20-$30, but I am willing to spend more if I need to. But my idea is to just spend as much as minimally as I need to be the best. And we're just going to see how that goes. And, we'll really know day 2 or day 3 if we need to spend more money in the shop than like $20. And besides that, let's get on to the character ideas. Now, there is a selector banner, which, is going to be really important. There's going to be a limited banner with Freya. And for the characters, I think the most important thing to do is try to get an SSR from that mold or from the actual banner before going to the beginner banner. And the reason we're doing this is because we don't want to pick someone off the selector and then get a same character, because dupes don't really matter in real-time arena for this game. So we absolutely don't want to get stuck with a dupe. And not only that, but like, you don't want to use the selector and pick Tiamat and then pull Tiamat, because then you're kind of screwed on choices because you're going to not get Tiamat a lot. So you want to have at least 3 SSRs that you can choose from and not worry about the other team picking them and getting that character banned and being stuck with nothing. So that's definitely going to be the first thing. And then we're going to pull Freya. And with the selector unit, what we're going to have to pull is Tiamat, not because I think Tiamat is the best choice, but because everyone is going to have Tiamat. Now, the reason that is because Tiamat is pretty broken and didn't get nerfed a whole lot. The kit just got a little bit reworked since the last beta, whereas I was thinking Hellkid was going to be the best character to pick on the banner because everyone was saying Tiamat. Unfortunately, Hellkid got majorly nerfed because he was the most broken character in PvP. So, it is what it is. And Tiamat is going to be the choice because how it's going to work is if your opponent selects a unit, you can't have duplicates on the sides. And the reason Tiamat is so good is because it's only a 10-day beta, there's not going to be a whole lot of characters being built up. So if you pick Tiamat, it's basically like banning them from picking it, Tiamat. If they can't use the Tiamat and they ban my Tiamat, it's basically like a double ban on the side. So that's why I think Tiamat's the best choice for the selector and that you have to have them. But I do think the best SSR is going to be Rahu. Rahu has so many benefits to him, and I think he's going to be the best choice. So hopefully we just pull Tiamat and we can use the selector to get Rahu or get Rahu off the banner and vice versa. So that's really all I'm going to do talking about units. Hopefully you pull more. Some SRs that I really want. The two best ones are, the best three that I think you want on this final test account is Sonya, who is the revive healer. Now Sonya got a little bit nerfed, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. Viper isn't going to progress your account super quickly in PvE, but he's going to be invaluable for PvP. And Chiaki the Echo. Now Chiaki is going to be extra strong because how I was saying that everyone was going to pull Tiamat, everyone is going to have Freya on their account because it's the first limited banner. So like, why would you not pull the first limited character, especially when they're really busted strong? Now, the reason she's busted strong is because not only does she cleanse, not only does she have her nightmare debuff, but she affects the speed of the characters. And Chiaki's Ave Maria effect makes it so you can't get your turn meter stolen or lowered, which is going to be really good because everyone is going to have Leanne, because there is a whole mission on leveling Leanne to get more resources. So everyone during the final test is also going to have a busted Leanne. Now, that's pretty much all I want to do talking about units right now. So let's just go in to the actual gameplay of this. Now, we're not going to start PvP at the beginning of the day. Every day, we're going to wait until we have completely exhausted our resources, and then we're going to hit PvP. And that's really important because we want to be as leveled up as possible. Because destroying an account with level 40 characters going up against level 20 characters is much easier than, putting your neck out there and doing an even battle. We want to assert our dominance on early and get those easy W's. That way, when it gets harder, like day 5, day 6, we have that huge gap in points before we have to get all sweaty like. Now, the important thing to do is you're going to skip all the story. You're not going to watch any of the cutscenes. Like, when the video game comes out, yeah, you can watch the story, and hopefully the story is good, but that's not what matters here. What matters is that rank 1. We're going for that guap. So skip all the story, progress as far as we can in the main story, and then there's also going to be a Leanne like quest line. There's like these in every game, basically, where it's like level this character up and you get a bunch of rewards. Like if you played Girls Frontline 2, they have it with Vepley. If you played Nike Goddess of Victory, they have it with Alice. It is what it is. But that also means everyone's going to have Leanne leveled up. And the important part about that is when we talked about Tiamat at the beginning, with everyone picking Tiamat, so you need to pick it because if you pick it, they can't pick it. The same thing is going to happen with Leanne and Freya. So what you want to do in PvP, especially in the first couple days, is you're praying to get second pick, because second pick gets two choices versus one. So if you're the first pick, they're always going to probably pick Tiamat or Leanne, and then as the second person, you're able to pick Freya and the other DPS that they did not pick. And this is going to be super good because not people are only going to have a certain amount of characters leveled up, right? So basically making half their roster unavailable to them is going to really really be a damper. So that's why I think it's really important to build 8 characters up. And it is what it is. I think you should always pick these 3 characters in the first picks in the first couple of days, not because they may be the best characters on your account, but because they're probably the best characters on your opponent's account. And, we love a good roasting like that. So, yeah, we're going to progress through the story as quick as possible, do the Leanne thing, and one thing that I normally do not do in gacha games is energy refreshes. Now, I think energy refreshing during this final test is going to really separate the men from the boys. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's only a week and a half. There's not going to be a whole lot of time to level like 20 characters up, right? So what we want to do is progress quicker than the other characters, which means we need to count out how many energy refreshes we should do a day versus the amount of currency that we get. So, it's better to have 3 SSRs leveled up and get a ton of energy refreshes to progress your account as quickly as you can versus having, say, like 5 SSRs. So what you're going to want to do on the energy refreshes is, I don't know how much the reset values are going to be on that. Like some games it's like 20 in a refresh, then the next one is 40. You're going to want to count it out. I'm going to wait until day 1 and figure out how many energy refreshes I should do. I think the minimum should be 3, but if I can do 5 a day and still have plenty of resources to pull everything, I'm going to do that. And this is really going to help get the account as strong as it can, as quick as we can. And the reason it's okay to do this is because, well, the accounts are going to get wiped at the end of the beta test anyway, so might as well progress as quickly as possible. Now, besides progressing as quickly as possible, what we need to focus on is we need characters that are going to push us in PvE, because, if we're farming the best equipment possible in PvE, then we're definitely going to have that stronger equipment when we go to PvP. So the most important thing we're going to need to do is the Doki Doki fight for equipment. And now this is because all of the equipment you get from this one is going to be speed ups. And if you can attack 2 times for every 1 time your opponent attacks, you're eating good. You're probably going to win that match in PvP. So we need to farm Doki Doki. And the hard thing with Doki Doki is Leanne is it does the fire emblem triangle in this video game. So, blue is strong against red and Leanne is red. So we're going to want some green. And, or we need blue. So, Freya is green, but the thing is she's not a DPS. So we're going to have to mainly strengthen up our Tiamat, and I think Leanne should only be strengthened up enough to get the maximum amount of resources from her mission quests, and not go like super over the top on that, because she's not going to be super powerful for the later stages of Doki Doki when we need to replace her, and it is what it is. Now, another character that is going to be really important to pull out of the SRs for this is either Obel or Kraken, as they're like a AoE control. Make sure they're not getting those buffs from Doki Doki during the fight. And Obel is going to be the best one, but the next best one is Kraken. And the thing is I think you should just go with which one you pull first, because you're going to level that character up, and because there's a limited amount of resources in a week and a half, even if Obel is significantly better for your account, I don't think you should waste resources. It's better to have a level 40 Kraken versus a level 30 Obel, even though Obel is going to be better in the metagame. So you need to think a little bit like that. And this character is going to be really important for farming that equipment. So farm that super hard using energy refreshes. And this is going to set you up for that PvP gaming, which we'll do at the end of the energy refreshes and figure out everything. Now, this is how we're going to progress until day 7. And then day 7, the metagame is going to shift up super hard with Linglo, because there is like quest stuffs you can do, and it will unlock this 5-star healer who is the best SSR healer. I think Sonya is a little bit better. Sonya got a little bit nerfed, so I do think Linglo is going to be better. And the thing about this is, once again, we talked about how everyone's going to have Freya, everyone's going to have Tiamat, everyone's going to have Leanne. Now everyone's going to have Linglo. So this is actually going to make it harder, right? Because what's going to end up happening is, if you go first, you're going to pick Linglo most likely. And then your opponent is going to be able to pick Tiamat and Freya, or Tiamat and Leanne. And since everyone has that on their accounts, it's going to start getting a little bit rough. So that's why, I said that Rahu is going to be such a huge SSR to have. We're going to need to test that out. But the thing is even though we're going to be stomping everyone in PvP, what you need to do is keep a track of what all the units are using and figuring out like percentages on that. So even though they might have your 2 busted units and you take 2 of their busted units, you're also going to figure out what the majority of those other 2 picks are, so you can counter them. And that's like, if you see a lot of people playing with Rosa and Gray, then you level up your Viper, because Viper's passive is going to make those crit chance characters really not shine. And, I think Viper is going to really play a great role in PvP. You're going to want to get another shielder character. I really like Rin, but we'll see what the best way to go is. And you want Chiaki the Echo to counter Freya and Leanne's turn meter stealing. So, keep a data sheet on PvP, what people are playing as, figure out the counters that aren't on their accounts, so you don't have to worry about this really cringe thing that is going to happen where there's going to be a huge 50% overlap on all the accounts. You need to be super attentive on day 7 when everyone gets Linglo, and figure out what the best way to deal with the meta is then. And as we progress, hopefully we're number 1 by then. I'm going to be doing a video every day at the end, sort of talking about how PvP went, where I ended up on rank, and what I need to do differently than the previous day. And I'm going to be theory crafting just based off the meta and also synergies and things, and just talking about that. So hopefully this video helps you, and I'm really excited for the final test. Leave a comment if you think this video is going to be helpful, and if you're excited to see me be ranked number 1 and the best player at this video game. See you next time.